I think most of you, of course, are familiar with the work detail where you're recording, your notes and the things that you're doing here. So let me scroll down a little bit. Nothing new here, but if I need to, add some notes in here, pretty straightforward as far as how we do that. Notice though that we also, and email integration is now out of the box with Remedy in 8.1. So if I want to leverage my email system, it's going to automatically add that to the work log. It's going to automatically engage in what we call email conversation management, which is where I can then type in my notes here. That's where I can record all outbound email that I send out, and anybody who responds to one of those outbound emails from that I have sent from within the incident here, that will show as well. So here now you see I've got those general notes I put in, an earlier email that I'd sent, and now this new email that I've sent. So all of that's kind of in your work log there as you go through there. If you look at some of these tabs across the top, we added most of these in 8.0 to make it easier. We've always had since 7.6.04 and maybe 3, the ability, for example, to get to your operational categories, your product categorizations, but you have to go over here, scroll down, find it, open it up. Since it's so germane to what you're doing here, they've now actually moved those to a tab right here. So here I can see my categorizations, operational and or product categorizations, and I suspect most of you are doing that. But one thing you might not be aware of that I would certainly encourage you to start using in the future is once I resolve this incident, even if it were a temporary resolve, take a look at how this was initially categorized and say, is that really what the problem was? If it's not, go over here to the resolution categorizations and put in what it really was. And then you can run reports comparing what were the incident creation, operational, and product categorizations versus what it ultimately turned out to be. And that will just help your team refine your categories and make things a lot more meaningful and quicker to resolution in the future. And I find very few people that are aware of that or that are using that particular function there. There's another feature that's available to you, and this is another one that I find that is very seldom used in incident management. But, as we all know, in an incident management, I could take this incident, I could have it reassigned to someone else if I don't feel like I can do it. But, I can maintain ownership of this incident, which ITIL would say is the good practice, right? I'm talking to Joe here, trying to resolve his issue. But if I need some help from another group on here, why not leverage my task management system, right? That's a part of the Remedy infrastructure, if you would. And so with the task management system, I can go out and grab predefined task group templates, and a group template just means it's got 3 or 4 discrete tasks underneath it. So I'm grabbing the parent that's bringing along the children there. Or I might just go out and grab a single task that, again, has been pre-configured, like back up the system. Or I have the ability, of course, to just go in and do an ad hoc one. So if I were to go out and do this, I could just say I want to relate a task template. It would bring up a list there of what I wanted done, and I'll just grab, hey, we need to make sure that somebody backs up this system before they're going to do, whatever it may be. So I'll relate that. It shows up in the work queue there as one of the tasks that we're going to do. And maybe I want to now go in and actually create what we call an ad hoc or just a contemporaneous thing that I need to get somebody to do. I'm going to maintain the conversation with Joe, but I need Al over in accounting to do something for me. So if I relate that one, what it will actually do is bring up a blank task form and let me create it. So I'll just put in my initials here as the name of the task. And you guys don't want to sit here and just watch me type, so I need you to do this. And here's what I'm going to categorize the task, right? If I'm using my system here, this was a request I'm making of, the network group to check something out for me, to modify something on the network so I can get this person back open. And by the way, I want to go out and I want to assign this to a company if you've got multi-tenancy, to a particular organization, IT support, and we'll assign that to the back office support group. And I could even say, I need you to look at dates and times and those types of things. And that way, even though I'm going to take advantage of any of those predefined tasks that I've got out there, I can also create my own right on the fly here, decide who that's going to be assigned to within the script and get those out there. And again, just a great way to do it. You maintain constant contact with the user, but this is a simple way to bring in other people to help you resolve what this issue was. Then the relationships tab you've already had. So in this one, this was an existing one I've got up here. You can see this was related to the CI email, which we know because we see that right here as the service. And this one I had done some work early, and it was actually, I said, hey, it was caused by an infrastructure change that had been put in place. And then, of course, you've got your date tab here and additional detail tabs, again, just to try to make things right here at your fingertips as you go through and work it, as opposed to having to always come back to this area. The other one you can do, and sometimes this is configured for staff people and sometimes it isn't, but if I thought this email, that's a pretty large outage, if I wanted to broadcast that out, I could just say I want to broadcast this incident, make everybody in a particular region or whatever aware that we've got an email outage, and then when they create new incidents come in, we'll just attach it to the broadcast, and therefore when we resolve the broadcast, again, it's kind of a parent-child thing, we'll resolve the other issues that we've got there. So that can be made available to you. I said I would come back to this area on the templates. Most folks are pretty good about creating templates for like change management because, they have a set process of how I want to do things, how we provision a server, how we apply patches. They're pretty well thought out and thus very easy to do templates. But I would encourage you to also think about things where you could do incident-related things based on a template as well. And so as to give you an example here, let's just create a new incident in this particular case. So, we're going to identify who is the customer that we've got here. And, there are a lot of fields that have to be pulled out, right? When are we going to have it resolved? What's the impact and the urgency, which, kind of determines the due date and time and what kind of rankings we give it. Well, you get into a little bit of human nature here, right? What I might consider an impact of low and medium, my colleague who's just as good could have a completely different opinion of that. So the human element kind of comes into play, and it tends to skew your metrics. But if I go in and I use a template, and by the way, I can just start typing and it will look for various templates out there. In my case, I'm going to actually click on the button so I can show you. But in this way, if you go out and pick something, and you can logically group this again, however you might want to. So that was for change management. Let's go over here for IT support to our service desk and see some different types of tickets. Maybe here's a human resource issue, having an application logon issue. I'm going to select that as my template. The advantage of doing that is it's probably pretty obvious, but the advantage of doing that is it gives a common summary. If it's tied to a service or a particular CI, that will be pre-populated. It sets the impact and the urgency because the creators of the template predetermined what that should be. It automatically did the categorization for me. Again, that was part of the template that you've got. And it automatically then tied it to the, as soon as I save this ticket off, you'll see that this employee services would be actually up here under the thing there. So I'll just scroll down here real quick and do a save on that, and that's what causes that trigger to fly. So there's the related to the configuration item. So that's why we'd encourage you to use templates where you could. I think it'll make life easier. It'll certainly make your reporting metrics a little better there. So hopefully that maybe touched on a point or two that maybe you weren't aware that was there or how it might benefit you. Perhaps it was something such as in here that was new that some of you who are on version 7.6.x and before might look at as yet one more nice new feature that BMC has done. I will tell you again, just to remind you, that email integration is out of the box now in 8.1, as well as for any of you who have to do approvals. Approvals are also out of the box. You can do email approvals when you get one here without having to go log into Approval Central or something. So another nice feature. You know, most approvals, of course, are related to change management, but whatever you have an approval designed for, you can do it there.